maybe some of you think that we should just say, this is not our problem, and that we should let the migrant families starve or freeze to death. But that's not what decent Midwesterners do. That's not what leaders do. We didn't ask for this manufactured crisis, but we must deal with it all the same. We didn't ask for this manufactured crisis.
Oh, really?
Critics are saying that this is an expansion beyond the sanctuary city concept, and Illinois, with a Republican governor, just became a sanctuary state. The bill was signed by Governor Bruce Rauner yesterday. It prohibits local police from making an arrest based on immigration status. It mandates that local police ignore immigration detainers and says they can only hold an undocumented immigrant if a court order is obtained.
Illinois' governor signs a series of bills aimed at protecting immigrant families in the state. The new bills address everything from MAP grants for undocumented students to banning detention centers. Governor J.B. Pritzker believes the move's necessary to create a firewall against what he calls attacks on immigrants by the Trump administration. Local law enforcement agencies will also no longer be allowed to coordinate with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
We want law enforcement to act properly in the state of Illinois, and properly now means you're not coordinating with ICE agents.
Hi, Illinois State Senator Dan McConkey here. Just got out of the governor's annual budget speech, and let me tell you what's in it. $1 billion in taxes for you and me. New taxes, raising taxes, a lot of it on the working poor. And where are we going to spend it? We're going to spend it more on undocumented immigrants, on migrants coming here, free health care, other benefits. This is a travesty from the start. There's some good things in the budget, sure, but a real big problem here. Increased taxes for you, more spending on illegal immigrants.
Even before next November's election, when I believe we will pick up the House, the Republicans in the state of New York, and there are 10 of them, they have the power to caucus together, march down to Speaker Johnston's office and say, we demand that you do something about the border, bring it to the floor, and we will support it. Use the power that was been given to you, because we are being so effective. We have 175,000 migrants who came here. They came here for a better life. They came here for a job. But our city and its resources are absolutely overwhelmed. We need a break.
No refunds.
As you know, the Statue of Liberty is inscribed. It says, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled young masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse to a teeming shore. And that statement encapsulates our values. We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this country and to this state. We say you are welcome here. We are welcome with open arms, and we'll work to keep you safe. We'll not only house you, but we'll protect you. And the richness of the culture and the diversity and the food and the restaurants that we know are going to be coming because of these efforts are beyond measure. It's an extraordinary part of our story. And it's woven into the story of New York, and it makes us more vibrant.
Take a look at this video we shot early this morning here in Hakumba. After the sun came up, dozens of illegal immigrants from all around the world were gathered up waiting for Border Patrol to process them. Some from China, others from Turkey, others from Middle Eastern countries, most of them adults from all around the world. Tried talking with some of them. Here's what some of them had to say. Where are you guys from?
Turkey.
Turkey. Where are you guys from? ¿De dónde son? Ecuador. Where are you guys from?
China.
China. China. What city in the U.S. do you want to go to?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. L.A.? Los Angeles. Okay. Fox News has obtained some brand new internal CBP data which shows something remarkable. More Chinese nationals have been crossing here in the San Diego sector in recent months than Mexican nationals. So take a look at this first graphic right here. According to that data, this is the top 10 nationalities that Border Patrol have arrested crossing illegally here in San Diego sector since October 1st. Colombia is number 1, but take a look at number 2, China. 21,000 Chinese nationals have been encountered by agents here in recent months. They are ahead of Mexico by several thousand. And over the weekend, Fox cameras witnessed hundreds of Chinese nationals crossing illegally here in Hukumba. Again, most of them single adults, very few, if any, with little children with them. John and Sandra, this is not normal. These numbers are shooting through the roof when it comes to the Chinese. Just to put it in perspective, look at this stunning graphic. CBP sources telling Fox News in the last 4.5 months since October 1st, there have been more than 20,000 Chinese nationals encountered at our southern border. That is up more than 4,000% over all of fiscal year 2021.
India.
Where are you from?
China.
China. Where are you from?
India, sir.
India. Where are you from?
China.
China.
Georgia.
Georgia. Where are you from?
India.
India.
China.
China.
Yeah.
China. China. China.
China.
China. Where are you from?
Georgia.
Georgia. Where are you from?
China.
China.
Chile.
China. Where are you from?
Ecuador.
Ecuador. Colombia. ¿De dónde son? Colombia. ¿Todos aquí de Colombia? Sí. ¿De dónde son? México. Okay, muchas gracias.
Border airline passengers are advised to check in with your airline's mobile app as soon as possible, up to 24 hours in advance, and arrive at the airport with at least 2 hours before your plane takes off. That's because asylum seekers illegally released by the Department of Homeland Security are waiting on standby for seats. And if you aren't at the boarding gate when agents start to fill empty seats, you could be bumped. That's what happened to Joel Cavazos. He bought tickets to L.A. from McAllen. He says he had trouble checking in on the American Airlines app and even arrived at the airport an hour before his flight. Cavazos says he checked in here with TSA, but by the time he got through the checkpoint, the boarding agent told him he had been bumped from the flight.
No, they weren't polite at all. I mean, the initial response was, "You missed your flight, we gave your ticket to someone else."
Border Patrol agents told us asylum seekers are waiting at the airport day and night to hop on flights.
You can tell who's a migrant and who's not. They have paperwork, they have little folders. You can tell that they're not American per se.
Airlines don't ask the immigration status of passengers. TSA agents check that every passenger has proper government-issued ID to get past the checkpoint. Paperwork is issued by DHS to asylum seekers when they are legally paroled into the U.S. pending their immigration cases. Once they have their paperwork, they are allowed to travel. We're told early morning flights have the most asylum seekers. Airports don't track the number of traveling asylum seekers, but in 2023, 15% more passengers flew out than in of McAllen. 11% more flew out at Harlingen's Valley International Airport in fiscal year 2023. Harlingen's airport director says they advise passengers to arrive an hour before departure.
We are in San Isidro, a part of San Diego right now, where hundreds of illegal immigrants have just been mass street released from Border Patrol custody. This bus you see right here is apparently an NGO or volunteer organization bus. They've all just gotten off a Border Patrol bus, 2 of them actually. They're now waiting to board this bus.
What changed between the time President Biden said, "We are a nation who says if you want to flee and you're freeing oppression, you should come," and now?
I don't understand. What do you mean? Your question, I don't get.
As a candidate, President Biden was telling people to come to the border. So what has changed since then?
I don't have the context of this quote that you're giving.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
Now we're hearing about executive actions that could be taken. Why wait this long to look at executive
I've been very
action?
clear. We have made no decisions on that. I'm not going to get into policy discussions or hypotheticals that we're hearing right now. Be very clear. But the focus here should be what happened in the Senate in a bipartisan way that Republicans have rejected.
Does the fact that he's considering other actions mean that there was more he could have done earlier? So what changed?
I'm going to be very clear. The bottom line, the only way we could move forward in a effective, more comprehensive way was to move forward with the bipartisan legislation that came out of the Senate. That was the way that we believe would have been a one of the toughest, one of the fairest bipartisan border security bills that we have seen in decades. It would have dealt with giving resources that's needed at the border, would have dealt with dealing with policy issues that relates to immigration, and that's the way we should have moved forward.
On the border, Kathleen, but the northern one, it's not as dramatic as in the south, but there are different and more reports on migrants crossing the border to come to the U.S. Is the administration worried? Is it in contact with the Canadian government to try to stop the flow?
So look, we are in constant communication with our Canadian counterparts, obviously on a range of issues, including migrants attempting to cross the border. Don't have any new announcements to make, but we are constantly having those conversations with our counterparts in Canada. I just don't have anything for you at this time.
How worried is the administration that it's happening more and more?
I mean, look, I'm not going to put a gauge on this, on how worried we are, but we do have constant communication with our counterparts on a range of issues, including the one that you just laid out to me.
Do we know exactly what the president is considering here with his executive pen?
Yeah, it's changes, John, to who can say they qualify for asylum. Right now, anybody that makes it to the border can at least try to say that they are here for asylum. There is talk here about making it so that you can only do that at a port of entry. But whatever these changes may be, it represents a huge change from where this White House was 1 year ago.
He has done more than any prior president to secure the border and build a safe, orderly, and humane immigration system. And that's what the president has been able to do.
A White House official is telling us today no executive action, no matter how aggressive, can deliver the significant policy reforms and additional resources Congress can provide and that Republicans rejected. We continue to call on Speaker Johnson and House Republicans to pass the bipartisan deal to secure the border. And maybe this is driving some of the urgency. The U.S. BP chief, Jason Owens, tweeted over the weekend, agents across the southwest border apprehended 10 undocumented subjects with violent criminal histories, including murder, rape, and drug or weapons trafficking. So far in fiscal year 24, they've apprehended 6,400 subjects with criminal convictions. And this is so different than what we've been told by President Biden. He had been saying for months that he has done everything he can do. Apparently, that's not true. John?
All he has to do is go back and look at the things that he rescinded on January the 20th, 2021, and he'd have an idea of what he can do. Peter?
The president of the United States has not been granted additional powers by the Constitution since he took office. So the powers have been there the whole time. They are just choosing now to use them.
Potential setback for American officials at our southern border. Venezuela has stopped accepting deportation flights from the U.S. and Mexico after a deal between the nations fell apart.
An unrelenting stream of immigration, non-stop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority.